wonderful.
Should be something new today, Emma.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to go play around with it.
scares me.
So Constance isn't gonna be here. She was the chair. Amy Brogan was the vice chair. I think she's not here. If there's somebody else that wants to lead the meeting. Eric?
I can lead it. Okay, the meeting's called to order. Any citizen comments? We have any citizens here? Well, yes, we do, but any citizens not on the commission. So just for the sake of remembering everything, let's go around and give each other's names, what we kind of do. Eric Peterson, I'm from Lewiston. On the Disability Advisory Council, have been for a long time. What I'm supplying right now mostly is institutional knowledge from where we started, to why we started, where we go, and some other things. And helping to kind of look to the future on what things we can do. I'll pass.
My name is Jessica Granger. I'm a targeted services coordinator, serving participants in Lewiston and some of the surrounding areas. And I've been doing this on the committee for a year. This is my first year, so I'm kind of still learning as I go along.
I'm Matt Wright on the Lewiston City Council. And this seat was held by Hannah, and you recommended that I take this committee, and she moved over to commissioners.
Since you're the liaison to the council, anytime you have a question or wondering what the heck are we doing or why we're doing it, don't hesitate to interrupt us, go right to it and ask. So anything we can do to bring up feed or clarify it is really important.
Perfect, thanks, Eric.
I'm Leah Burris. I'm the HR generalist for the city. While Nikki would be your main contact for ADA or DAC related issues or questions, I do assist her. So you can contact me if she's not available. And then I also, kind of serve as secretary. I take minutes for the DAC meetings.
I'm Nikki, Province HR Director for the city. I'm also the ADA coordinator for the city, as well as the Title VI coordinator for the city. And service liaison on the Disability Advisory Commission.
I'm Mark Havens. Like Eric, I've been on the Disability Advisory Commission since it was established. However many years ago that was, at least 2017. I think. And I live in Lewiston, as I think you have to be on this commission. I'm the executive director of Interlink, who serves senior citizens and disabled people, and our office is in Clarkston.
I'm Matt Ruth, Agency Director at Addis Home Care here in Lewiston. I've been on the team since 3 of 23. That's about it.
We have other members, Mike Feeney is one who's called me and said he could not be here.
Okay, sure.
And he is actually a retired architect who had dealings with designing and such with ADA. So as a resource person, he's kind of invaluable and difficult to get people like him. What else do we have on the?
Constance Vance.
Constance
She
Vance.
works at, OUI. Opportunity, yeah.
Opportunities Unlimited, yeah. Opportunities Unlimited is a valuable input group for this commission. And that's pretty much it. We have one open
We have
position.
one vacancy.
Okay, and I'm trying to recruit Zach from LCSD, who works in the athletic department, who was in a diving accident and is pretty much, he's not a full quadriplegic, he's halfway between a quad and what do you call it? Paraplegic. So, you got any recruitments that could be done or something? And it's like, I have a renewal that's coming up. I don't think it's gone before committee yet, the council yet.
Yeah, it's with the city clerk, right?
Yes, could be.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
and on that, I put in, if there is someone else who would like to serve, because there's only a position, and they come at the same time as me, like if we suddenly get 2 or 3, I'm willing to step aside to get other people in here. So not that I want to, but being part of the elder population of this nation, I'm become aware from the last 15 years that those of us in this area need to step aside and let others lead. And my shirt doesn't mean anything except that I've been far too long in DC. And things are actually okay. Kind of. So at this point, we
Can I
have,
ask,
yes.
are we live streaming or Zoom streaming?
It's just recording and then it will be uploaded to our website when the meeting's over.
Is that gonna be the norm in the future? So
Yeah.
no one can walk in.
No, the only live stream is city council. Yeah, the other boards and commissions, I believe, are also recorded.
Yeah, and I think they all come up, and which is, it's nice to have people beneath us. The citizens even watch what we've done in the past, but I understand it's probably costly.
Well, in this way, the liaison can do it. It doesn't require ISS to be present.
Okay, and discussion items, we don't have anything listed, but there is supposed to be a standing report
Oh,
from the committee that's right, and we have,
Civic Optimize?
yes,
Yeah, we have provided the list and the contacts for the workflow to IT. And it's kind of in their lap as far as developing it.
do we have any working model yet?
Only in the sense that we have other optimized forms, so we would know what it looks like in the workflow. But we don't have, I don't know at what status they're
Let me
at.
ask you a question.
Mhm.
When I was doing an application for the renewal of
Yeah.
my position, and I noticed the form was a PDF, but it wasn't a fillable.
Yeah,
I made a reasonable accommodation request to have that, because if I write for more than like 30 seconds,
mhm.
I have problems. I can type, a longer time, but I can only do so much of it, but it's a lot easier for me to do typing than it is writing. And the city clerk
Mhm.
made up a fillable form, which I then understood to be in the system that they're thinking we're gonna use.
Civic Optimize.
It sucks.
Oh,
Literally.
I don't know if it was a Civic Optimized form, was it?
It was an optimized form, and I would say if that is going to be the format and the usability of what we're looking at.
Have you,
it's not
have you
gonna be
completed
used.
any like city surveys recently or done any of
Yes.
that? Cause those are optimized.
They suck,
Oh,
they do. And from a comparison to my use of other systems and the ease of use and the ability to communicate rapidly and have return information, it sucks. That's just my,
well, I can.
that was my
yeah.
concern, well, I'd rather do it, I'll just go ahead and talk to the mayor. Cause,
Or you can talk to the ISS director.
I'll talk to the mayor,
Dustin, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause it was, yeah, it's been how long now? Since we started with this?
I don't know, but part of it was on my plate to work with the directors to get all the names, which we've now gotten. And so it's been with Neil. I don't know.
So
A month?
we expected a completion in a year. That's not gonna happen.
I have no idea, Eric, where they're at in building it. Once I handed that information off,
Okay,
it's in their lap to build into the system. I don't even have access to Civic Optimize.
and the reason I'm asking for a monthly report, I'm
Mhm.
requesting it, is we are going to be the driver of it. If we don't drive it, it's gonna be a forgotten item. It's gonna be a low priority item. We have dealt with that issue over the years. Still got something with the engineer's office that was supposed to be done, we talked about it 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. The person who put in the petition, which had signed by numerous people to get something accomplished up near the Rosars from the orchards, is dead. So
What I provided,
you have
ISS,
nothing to do with that.
well, no, I'm just saying what I provided to ISS wasn't specific to ADA. It has the potential, like a lifted sidewalk or a broken light or a vehicle parked over a sidewalk or any of those. It has lists of things, but none of them were specific to ADA, but they could be an ADA issue. And so because they come from all different departments, it's not just we're doing one, there's a list of them. And so they have to do a workflow for each one of those things. I don't know if that's what's
Understand.
holding it up. But there's a list, I wanna say like maybe 25, 30 items to choose from.
Mhm.
Kind of like your Washington
Yeah,
DC one, there's like a whole giant list with you guys. And we took that list, by the way,
Yeah.
and cut it down. And so, because they come from LPD or their community development or their fire issues or their public works issues, each one of those, I would assume, has to build its own workflow, because once the citizen submits it, it has to go to the correct people in order to notify them of the
And I
complaint or
understand.
issue. So I don't know in their part how much of that list has been done, or if they're gonna wait for the entire list before they publish it. I don't
Is
know.
there a specific IT person that has been placed in charge of the project?
I think there is. I'd have to double check with the IT director. if
I
it's
will
with that
actually
person.
wait on my actions. If you can find out who that is and possibly arrange to have that person come to our next meeting.
Or do you want to just give you a call, let you know?
You can give me a call first, but I'd like to have them on this just so that the rest of the people can be up to date on it. I'd be more than happy to talk to him on a call. And I will be, if he hasn't seen me or heard me, prepare him.
Sorry, could I get a copy of this list of actions? Thanks.
That's real simple. It's just, potential items that a citizen, so the idea is that a citizen could go to our website and they could pick up a list of like dead animal on the road, or a broken sidewalk, or, a vehicle that's not working parked on the side of the road or something, or who's, parked so that you can't view the street, like a number of different things that would be good for the city to know so that we could correct them. And then it would workflow to the appropriate person in the city. And then they would have that report to be able to go do something about whatever the complaint was. And then be able to respond to the citizen, the status of the complaint. Does that make sense?
And this would be out on our website.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it would be an app, and if it's not an app, it's worthless.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm not an IS, I'm not an
It's
IT
not an
person, I
app.
don't know.
It's worthless.
Um,
I'm talking about 30 years of development that's been done on these type of things, starting off with the history on this. It started off basically from SharePoint, started out with call centers. Call centers like, because of actually when it started, it's like, what was the baseball field that make it and they'll come? You have to advertise, bring it in, but it started out and then it grew because it was a way of communicating in not real time. Much like texting today. To get actually tasks there, get it assigned to a person, have communication back to the citizen, and it brought the citizen in as part of the team to deal with issues in the city, like a traffic light went out.
Do you know, is there a mobile app already that ADA
Several.
recommends that the city
Well,
could almost
let's-
onboard that app so we don't have to, because building an app from scratch is
Absolutely.
difficult, but if there is an app, maybe,
Well, there is
maybe
an app.
that's an easier
Well-
conversation.
We actually had this discussion and the city decided instead of spending 30,000 to get the app, which would have monthly annual cost, they decided to develop it in-house for all things. And that to me was knowing the history, having to deal with this and dealing with DC 311, which is excellent, but it's also for DC. But it shows you what has developed from the call centers to the app. A web application? No. An app application? Yes. And cities basically, as I understand it, it's going to be a web application.
initially on ISS did some research to find what would be a solution to the request to have some sort of idea of the city, the citizens being able to communicate with the city, right? And the city already has Civic, you know Civic Clerk, where you get your agendas, and, Civic is our website. So another component of Civic that they have is Optimize, and that's the forms, and surveys. So like, right now, they use it, they're already using it for forms that citizens can submit, but also for surveys, like if you watch Facebook, city's Facebook, and you wanna put in a survey for the Main Street bond, right? I think that's already Civic Optimized that they're using. So they just have to build essentially more forms for these,
I'm,
for these type of complaints to this, and I don't wanna say complaints, because it could just be information.
Communication.
Communication to the city, yeah. So,
I'm personally more optimistic about the ability of utilizing the web-based service, but linking it through social media.
Mhm.
And then just teaching through outreach, the easiest manner for communicating through that, utilizing the social media to do so. Almost everybody in our town is going to have access in some way or another to social media. Whereas downloading an app is going to require another level of communication, and probably not everybody's going to download the app just
So
specifically.
they're gonna use an app to use the app, or to use the web.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I have 30 years of experience of dealing with technology issues and development issues. And 95% of the problems is always issue with people. The tech issues are easy. So my experience with the web-based things. Yeah, it's the same reason that all the rest of them go to apps. It's like, I don't use the web interfaces hardly at all on my phone. And we're talking phones as a basic vehicle, because that's the primary vehicle now.
Yeah, phones,
And
tablets.
Apps on the phones are the basic tool instead of a generalized web. Because I will tell you, the web application and using it with the city and using it with what we have, it's just very,
Clunky currently.
yeah, it just sucks for use. And then compared to things that are out there, so this is a big issue for obviously me. But it's a big issue for turning our citizens into partners. And that's what I have been doing, that type of thing in DC for several years, and it works amazingly. What we have here, when I came back from DC, heard that's what we're doing, was probably a memorable meeting, because I just said, why are you wasting our time? And our time has been, we will already be using it now if they've gone the other route. But the route they're taking, I understand it may be more beneficial, and it's using what they're already paying. But until I see an actual project done and knowing how projects are worked on, unless there's someone directing it, focused on it, and keeping an eye on it, it will not occur in any timely manner. That's where we're at, in my opinion. So my skill set, you've heard of the burr under the saddle,
Uh-huh.
put a whole freaking tumbleweed. Okay,
well, I will say that, it took a while to collect the information to be able to provide to ISS. And you can place that blame on me, that's fine.
I'm not placing any.
No, I'm saying,
direction.
because it sat on my table, collecting that information with leadership. So ISS has not had it as a completed list for very long. I would say maybe a month. And so my expectation wasn't that they turn around and make it happen. It's something they have to fit into their workflow as well to get that project
100%.
completed. And I will just say, I haven't had your experience, Eric, but I have used optimized forms. And I found them to be very easy to complete and submit, but everybody's, user experience is different.
You're right. I'm a very experienced person, and I can go through the websites, I can go through our other crap. If it's not easy, my wife wouldn't be able to. She wouldn't do it. Right? And if you have something that's that difficult to use, why do it? From my perspective. And I don't see any difference yet in anything I've seen come out. It's an improvement and it's a data collection device, but I don't see it being. I don't see anyone in lead on something like what I see the needs of like the disabled community and just the citizens. So, anyway, but enough of that. So that was just as a reminder every month, ongoing report. If you can have whoever is in charge, who's been assigned it, I'll talk to them. But I'm aware in IT that when there's something that has a primary person and has a priority on it and done on it, I have seen things done in a day that Granted, this might not be one of those things, but it's something that if it was a true priority, a month would be pretty easy.
I think there is a primary person, I just don't know. I believe it's Neil with ISS, but I don't know for sure if the director has tasked it to him specifically.
Yeah.
Or if they're working on it collectively together. I don't know that. I'm gonna have to talk to the director and I will let the director know to reach out to you or have that person reach
Should
out to
tell them
you.
I'm irritated to tell.
I don't really know what else to say about
You
it.
don't, you're not responsible for this. It's not your job. You do an excellent job. But my experience says a direct communication line, I'm not worried about being liked. I'm more worried about, can we get the tool that the citizens can help us with? And I'm not seeing it yet, and I don't see a focus on it yet. Nor have I been around to actually dwell into it, nor am I able to do that because I cannot drive. I can't do a lot of things. So anyway, that was just an item that should be in my, I'd asked for it to be there ongoing and we keep forgetting about it. Now, what's actually the big deal here is the active agenda is election of chair and vice chair.
Wait. Is there room for other discussion items?
Sure,
Well, I would say they have not been added to the agenda.
I would say just.
So the
general
agenda
comments
public
there.
has not been noticed.
Okay, I reopened the citizens' comments.
Well, what is the purpose of item C versus item F? If not to just ask questions.
All I'm saying is, it's my understanding that we post the agenda so the public knows what will be discussed at the meeting.
And
And that if we're gonna discuss something, it should be on the agenda.
I'm
Item F is-
citizens' comments, and that's where we're gonna leave it.
I'm almost finished. with
I
my thought.
just opened it. It's our citizens' comment. Mark can comment as a citizen. We're done with the rest of it.
I was answering his question.
I understand that. It's now done.
Eric, you can't,
I
I'm not,
can't,
I'm not being disrespectful. Please be
that's
kind.
okay. You can be disrespectful because
I'm
I'm
not,
just going to
I'm
get
not,
focused
you
on
would
the
just
meeting.
be kind to me. I was just answering the question.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody for you to attack. I'm just answering his question.
Not attacking you.
That's my understanding, is that we have to put on the agenda what we're going to discuss today. Commissioner comments are comments.
This is not a commissioner's comment. It's a
Yeah.
citizen comment.
He asked me about the difference between.
I just reopened it.
I'm sorry, Eric, or Mark, he's.
Okay, so Mark, you're now here as a citizen. Do you wish to comment?
No.
Okay, let's move on. So election of chair is, we have had an issue with the last several months. We have not had a quorum. There is apparently a fear out here that people are not wanting to come because they're afraid of being appointed chair. All right,
I haven't heard that.
that's something I just got from a background route. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I could see it happening, but I've not seen that really aware, but it is a difficult, it's not a difficult task to be chair. I know I've been chair for many, many years in the past. I don't think anyone has responded to requests because anyone want to, that I'm pretty sure comments have made, to serve as chair. Are there any people who would like to step up to offer their skills in that?
I didn't understand what you said. Is Constance not willing to serve again? Is that what you said?
Well,
She
yeah.
is. I know, who we know.
She has
She's
not
not
communicated.
indicated that.
Yeah, she's not communicated
I've
that.
had a
fast.
conversation with her and she did say that she would be willing to continue, but I mean, that was just
Okay,
her and I discussing back and forth, but
are you nominating her for that position?
I am.
Okay, Matt has now nominated her for the position. I don't believe that requires any second.
Should she want to accept it, I should probably ask her.
You want to make a phone call?
I'll text her.
She's like in Chicago.
she just got to an airport, I know that. but-
We've been 4 months out without a chair.
Well, I wouldn't say it's without a chair. We haven't.
Well, I should say without an elected chair.
We haven't
An election
met for
occurred in January? That my.
Yeah, it should have, but we missed it.
Okay. So are there any other nominations for chair? Let's go to vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
Matthew, would you accept it?
I would accept vice chair.
Okay, now I nominate Matt for Ruth.
for vice chair,
Yes.
right? All those in favor of the commission members of Matt serving as vice chair, and that you can vote for yourself. Say aye.
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 I'll have to vote for this.
No.
I do think so.
So, Matt, you're now vice chair, and I'm not an officer, so as such, I step down and I transfer the meetings.
Wait, are we voting on Constance?
No,
Why not?
because she's not here.
What does
And
that
we
have to
haven't
do with
reached her.
anything? She was nominated.
She was nominated, but they said, you're gonna make a phone call. And
I'm
the
sure you guys
motion
nominated
was
other people in
then,
the past.
great way to be in many social groups, to be a president at a meeting of a group, is not show up for the meeting. Okay, but then you get nominated and hit. Matt said he was going to phone or text her to find out if it was.
Since I've been elected, vice chair and have been asked to go ahead and take over the meeting, at this time. I would like to suggest that we go ahead and vote for Constance at this time and active agenda election of chair. We have a nomination for Constance Vance. We don't have any other nominations at this time. All in favor of Constance continuing to act as chair for this commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item for active agenda is approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Higgins.
One correction down under section C, D, A. Well, this is directed to Leah, actually. What section is this? Oh, the powers and duties of the Disability Advisory Commission. In the middle of that paragraph, my gender changes. So at the end of line 5,
Oh.
if you change Ms. to Mr.
For clarity.
Thank you. Did you catch it?
Well, I'm not looking at it,
Oh,
but
okay,
I.
all right. That's all.
Any other corrections? If we don't have any corrections to the meetings for the last minute, or the minutes for the last meeting, February 13th, 2025. We need a motion and a second to approve.
I move adoption as corrected.
I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Ms. Granger. Next item on the active agenda is the 2024 ADA transition plan. This was emailed to everybody.
Why are we adopting the 2020? Is the agenda correct? We're gonna approve the 2024
Yes,
annual, but we're looking at something dated June 2025.
Because it needs to be approved for 2024.
It's all the things that were updated.
We requested a bunch of things to be updated, I believe, towards the end of the year.
in it. If I can speak.
Yes.
I think the concept behind it is that it's an annual report, but a year actually has to be completed before the report can be filed. And it takes a while, and I think they've now gotten more directors to report, because it was being done by, Dustin, without a lot of help from the others, so I think Nikki was pretty much instrumental in getting that update. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, it used to be initiated by Public Works and then, leadership decided that we would be that ADA coordinating committee because ADA extends beyond just Public Works. For example, we put in some ADA playground equipment in Pioneer Park this year, as well as some parking stalls. So the idea is that everybody should be adding their updates in here, so it's extending across the city. So like libraries added some stuff in here. We added some stuff from Parks and Rec because they got their grant last year to do the playground equipment this year. So I think that was important to reflect that they, applied and received a grant. But yeah, It is very public work heavy.
Are you aware of any changes to, the description of disability advisory commission since the last time we saw this? I don't believe it's changed.
I'm sorry, can you say that? one
Page
more time?
5,
Page 5.
this description of the disability advisory.
Oh, the
Commission.
duties? No, we submitted them to city council, in that report.
Mhm.
And it might have just been an oversight that some of the boards and commissions might have changed their duties with the idea that council would approve them, but I think they maybe didn't know that there were some changes or didn't accept the recommended changes. So these are still what they are.
Okay.
And until we move it forward with council to change it in city code, then it'll be this until that, at that time.
Understood.
But if that's something that you guys wanted to push forward, was updating the powers and duties to what had recommended on that report. It's something I can, coordinate with legal on.
I think that we've had opportunities to discuss those in the past, and we didn't really have anything necessarily to add or change at that point. Has everybody, go ahead, Mr. Peterson.
I think if we did those this year, then that would be in the 2025 report, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so like, for example, in the 2024, I included receiving the grant. But in 2025, we'll put in here that we actually installed the playground equipment and installed the parking, the 2 ADA parking spots at Pioneer Park. So this just includes receiving the grant, but the equipment has been put in.
It's Mr. Peterson.
One area that I think when you look at this, you're looking at facilities, services, and also things like code. And we talked about the code and a review of the code for probably since this began, since the ADA issues. I don't believe it's ever been accomplished yet. It might happen on a kind of someone's dealing with it, but an overall review. No, and there are things that could be changed. It's like if you have someone putting in a contract a trash can on a sidewalk. Okay, that makes it then unusable for the time period it's left on the sidewalk. And sometimes it may be left all the time. So it's just having the code reviewed for those things that are not something, and we have other issues like people need to put in a temporary ramp to get in and out of their house, and I think Mark might be more familiar with this than I do, but putting a ramp over a sidewalk is in violation of a city code. So it gets into, what are they gonna do? And they've resolved these things on a case by case basis, but it's looking for those types of things in the code when you're familiar. And it's actually probably a fair amount of work. But it's just something that we haven't ever dealt with that, to my knowledge. And it's be something that somehow, how can we,
I'll facilitate that down the road.
yes,
I definitely think that that's something that we should consider for future review and approval. Regarding this report for 2024 ADA transition, have we all had an opportunity to review?
yes. Not every line, but
Let's do that. Do we have a motion to approve?
comment or question first.
Pearson.
When we're looking at a lot of these things that are out there, you'll have a date adopted. And then like a 2009. And then a status of to be reviewed. And I'm not sure. It's great to have that information. But I guess what's the answer to be why we have so many to be reviewed? Is that just a carryover, or is it just a process issue?
That would be public work.
Yeah,
That's whatever their status is on those specific. Topics.
and that's my only question. Because when you look at the date of at first there and then where we're at today, we're 10, 15 years. That's more question for,
Future agenda item perhaps, or maybe
well,
a
that's
guess.
more question back to the committee who's actually doing this, because all we're doing is we're just looking at it. I don't know that they even need our approval. I think we do need our approval.
Yeah, the ADA transition plan specifically says that the commission will adopt it. The report.
Okay, is it your committee or is it our commission?
If this commission adopted it, again, I'll look at the wording.
Then that makes more sense to. If we actually have a say. Versus we're just being given first.
Right. I do think, if I may, I do think that those are valid, questions that need to be raised. I don't think that they're going to affect the 2024 plan. But that's something that we can keep our eye on the horizons, so that we are in a place to actually have some oversight for 2025 if we can. There's no other real discussion about this plan. I would suggest maybe we seek that motion.
And if it's in the final draft, final form, and I'm not sure that it is yet. Then I'd say we could go ahead and approve it. And then the questions on fee reviewed and other things, that has been asked in the past.
I do recall that.
So if it's a final form. I'd move we approve it, but if it's still in draft. Then we aren't really, it's not really been brought to us yet. My thought process.
Well, the idea was that it's being brought to you.
As for approval, as that this is no longer draft.
No. This says, so the annual report, it says, this annual report should be compiled by the ADA coordinating committee, then officially adopted by the DAC and city council as an amendment to the original transition plan. Public notice should be given as to the Lewiston's intent to adopt the annual report.
Okay, so at this point then it's final draft.
I believe so, unless you guys have something that you want to.
It is June.
Yeah, I move to approve it.
The idea is that it gets done earlier in the year.
Then we could have a longer list. I like that.
Has it gone to the city council yet?
No,
I
they
think
approve
they're
it
awaiting
last.
us.
You know, we do it, then it goes to council, I think.
I do have a question, discrepancy question, again, minor, not Mr. Miz, but. Page 6, the members of the commission and the term. Shows Eric's term expiring next month, July, but our agenda says 8/25. Old agenda.
I was told July, I think.
Yeah,
Most of us are July. That was what's more.
I'll double check that, but I'm, okay.
So it probably is July and the agenda is wrong.
I think we can approve it if that's just a clerical change, it can still be made in the.
And Amy, so Amy didn't resign, she just, her term ran out
Mhm.
and she didn't want to be reappointed.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't realize that. All right, thank you. Is that a motion on the floor?
There is a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Approve. I'll second it.
All opposed? Or no, all in favor, excuse me.
I,
All opposed? Okay. Moving on to future agenda items, do we have any that we would like to discuss?
Well, this is what I wanted to try to bring up earlier, and it could rise to the level of an agenda item. So I don't want to let go of the issue of electrifying the doors at the Liston Community and Senior Center. Until somebody looks me in the eye and says, we don't care. People in wheelchairs or have trouble opening those doors are just on their own and they're gonna have to suck it up. Till someone says that, I brought it up twice. I don't know the procedure to follow. I do know that what has changed since the last time I brought it up was we have a new Parks and Rec director.
Mhm.
I don't know his name and I don't know if he's on duty.
He hasn't started yet.
His name
Okay.
is Justin
Fair
Glenn,
enough.
and he'll be here Monday.
And he, oh, wonderful.
Oh,
And,
and-
and he should take, since that building seems to be at least sort of under his control, you know, he should have a say in that matter and have a look in that matter, but just don't know how they can justify. I mean, I don't know what would happen if I went to this county clerk and said, for voting purposes, these doors are hard for people in wheelchairs to open. And maybe that shouldn't be a voting place anymore because of that, since that's where the episode arose last November on election day when I saw someone in a wheelchair struggling to get into the building. Is there a recommendation? Should I wait till Optimize is on the website?
It's not lost in the wind, so you know,
Oh, God.
I care about it.
It needs a
And I've talked to our
it needs a
ISS
budget
and-
appropriation.
Yeah, I've talked to our operations director, who is currently over Parks and Rec. I've talked to
Okay.
ISS director. That building may be undergoing a little bit of construction for some movement of positions, so I'm not really sure what will happen in that mix. But you could, this commission could make a recommendation to city council to budget within the Parks and Rec department, the cost of what it would be to put in a ADA door.
And I can add to this if you'll let me. So I sent an email back in April to Parks and Recs. And I'll just read you the email. Thank you for reaching out and thoughtful concern regarding accessibility at the community center. I've CC'd myself, Parks and Recs admin specialist, Caitlin Hinckley, community developer director, Shannon Grow, who's been acting as the interim director, and facilities maintenance supervisor Valerie Warren to ensure your input is considered as we move forward. The community center is currently being evaluated for renovation and potential expansion with transit. And we will be sure to discuss an automatic door opening system in our review of said improvements. So that's where they're at currently, but I haven't gotten the official, here's the renovation we're gonna do. This is on the list of things that'll be included.
We also have a new facilities and parks manager who will be starting in July. And so that individual will be part of that as well.
Is there any way we can jump on this person right off the bat and have them come to our meetings so that we can talk this new,
The parks and facilities manager? You wanna have him come to a meeting?
I'm curious if you guys would like that.
Well, if we did, it should probably have a more robust set of discussion than just electric door. If we
Well,
could
and
talk
he-
You can have them both come and
Part
introduce
one, yeah.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, introduce themselves, but they're also gonna need time to acclimate to the
Totally
city and what
understand
the
that.
projects are and costs and stuff like
Based on
that.
his start date, he wouldn't be able to come until August.
Mhm.
Right,
So we could have them both come to the August meeting. I think Eric wants to talk.
Mr. Peters.
I don't know if if you see me holding my hand, it's because I have something in my brain.
You're hanging on to it.
And if I don't, I have a short-term memory problem. If I don't do that, I'll lose it.
Understood.
So I don't know if I brought this up the last time this discussion occurred, but doors that have the rams and such on them have a ADA requirement to have only X amount of pounds of force. Otherwise, I do not know that these doors have ever been put into compliance with that. I don't know that they need to because I haven't tried it myself. But that's the first thing I'd ask to whoever's there is check that door, all those doors, see that they are in compliance with the load limits for ADA.
And I did that with,
Okay.
director and the facilities people, so.
They do it.
Well, I know one of them came over here and he was checking these doors.
Okay.
Cause we had talked about these too, I think when we had that discussion.
Yeah.
And I think he was working with facilities at the time. We've had a changeover in facilities, so I think that's something that this new manager might need to put on his, task list.
Just as a suggestion, you could just say, do a follow-up as an email or whatever and say, did the doors at the community center get checked for this? And were they compliant?
That person that I would ask it to isn't here, and so
There's
Um,
someone there though
the,
that does this work?
the facilities person is no longer here, so we have a new facilities and parks manager. And so I couldn't tell you whether it was actually done or whether it met code or all of that. I know that we had a conversation in my office looking at building standards. We checked out these doors. But as far as community center door specific, there's been multiple people to look at it. I don't know if that specifically has been done. And
Okay,
until that manager gets on, I don't know who would be doing it.
do you need to, there should be someone that's actually in charge when there's someone not there. And it seems like you could just send that, whoever it is, and they have to have a work log or something. And just say, check it, has it been done?
So we
And
have an
result.
interim director until Monday,
That's a direct,
and
okay,
that's the person that I've been communicating with in the absence of a facilities person.
and this person can't answer your question.
I think they're trying to fix the door. I think we're in the middle of something that's a conversation that's happening as to how that comes to be.
The question I have, can they answer it today?
I don't know the answer for you, Eric.
But you can ask them.
Sure, I can ask them the question.
That's all I'm suggesting.
Okay,
I have a question related to this.
yes.
When we're talking about the Civic Plus system and
Mhm.
optimize, is that going to help us to increase the level of communication back and forth so that when we test doors, we can check a box and it can automatically send that feedback back to the person who had the original complaint or
I
observation?
think that's the concept, but then it will also allow the city to track any kind of ADA improvement. So if the doors were tested and found to be off and they were corrected, that's one more, type of item that we can add into here.
And the data collection would be handy.
Yeah, and that ADA, fix was made. And so the idea would be that would help us also
Awesome.
track these things.
I'm really looking forward to that.
So from the sound of your,
I'm just gonna say, from the concept system, you have someone who issues a request or a complaint. It then basically it's, whatever it is, ID that's this item there, does whatever. And it goes to the person, then it goes to that. Now, the person who's made that complaint immediately gets a response back saying, this has been tagged to this, we'll get back to you later, here's what are expected, whatever. Then if they do something, then it actually goes back and is reported to that person. And it's then either marked as completed or not. And it's a data point in the system which gets used for whatever they're talking about. But that line of communication should always be there, a non-real time communications system, so it's a complete beginning to end and closed. That's how they work,
I
to
believe,
my knowledge.
yeah, I believe that that's going to be very handy for all of us once that is up and running.
Yeah.
And if there's anything we can do to help support and facilitate that, please let us know. Yes, sir.
so just to Mark's potential future agenda item. So it sounds like August is the soonest for something like that, if it's a, sit down conversation with the new facilities manager, but maybe it could be more broad than this, just this door. Maybe that could be included, but more of a evaluate in general buildings that we know citizens have to have access to participate with the city of Lewiston. What's our evaluation of all those facilities? Maybe
Well,
having a discussion kind of like that.
And I know it's on the expected task list to do a facilities master plan where they evaluate city facilities. So I know that's already something that's hanging out there for the new director and manager to start working on.
I'm sympathetic to the fact that they'll both be new and should not be expected to know every little thing. It takes at least a year, if not more. So if they were to attend our meeting, it should be reviewed more of us raising things for them to look into or concerns or
I think that's fair.
almost more of a one-way
Yeah.
dialogue than necessarily a two-way. Unless either of them want to share some ideas or expertise from their previous jobs, the previous cities. Is the second person also coming from out of town?
No, he's fairly local.
Oh, okay.
The director is coming from North Carolina.
Right. So-
Worked on
They may have some,
those military base.
Sorry.
so they may have some comments.
Quite impressive.
Mhm.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we've been really excited for this day.
And our incoming manager previously worked for the school district.
And has some construction background, so we're also really excited for that,
Yeah.
some skill set that I think the city needs.
Dave Center.
For the sake of time, do we have any other future agenda items that we'd like to discuss?
I have one that's been becoming more obvious to me. And we've had someone just recently died, and I'm suspecting that part of that pedestrian died crossing the street. I granted it was at night, and there was no crosswalk painted. There is code in Idaho, which you don't need a painted crosswalk. If you're a pedestrian and you're crossing, if
At
you're
an intersection.
at an intersection, and you are crossing as a person who has no disabilities or anything else like that, you do have to worry about, your right of way, etc. However, if a person has any appearance at all of a disability of any nature, the traffic must yield. And if they do not yield, they are liable for damages, and they actually have potential criminal charges. Now, I just kind of tested just to see how people go, and most people are very courteous, and they see you in a wheelchair and you're waiting there, they stop. However, the greater proportion, even if I push my chair a little bit out into the intersection, a little bit, I'm moving a little bit as we're coming, keep coming and go back. And there is a decided lack of knowledge of that provision, to the point where the Idaho traffic manual, one you use for test, doesn't even include it in its front page. And we've had discussions that, yeah, it is a law, unless they changed it last year in their attention. They didn't fix or book the line on. So it just, what are the rights and duties? And maybe legal can answer this to us. Of
Thank you.
pedestrians and vehicles at intersections with crossings. We have had, like that death, we've had other people die.
What would you like to see? Would you like to see community outreach or?
Once we get an opinion from legal, then I think maybe an outreach issue, if it's appropriate. How to do it is a difficult thing, because I don't think the state of Idaho does. I just know it's there.
You're requesting then that we have legal come in?
If we could have legal make a review of that question and come back with a report to us. Does that make any sense? You've got a better idea how to do it. So the thing I'm giving you, I'm a retired attorney with an inactive license. As I believe Mark is, not retired, inactive license. So I don't want to give legal opinions, and I don't. But I'm aware of this, and I'm aware that it is something that can kill people. And I don't know what an 80-year-old person is crossing the street at night. It's a well-lit intersection, and he's probably going to Taco Bell, I'm guessing. He wasn't going to Taco
He was
Bell.
going from east to west.
Oh, east to
So
west.
eating that. What specific question would you like to ask them?
What are the rights of pedestrians, disabled pedestrians at crosswalks, and what are the duties of vehicular traffic? Is that clear enough? Mark, can you approve it?
I just wanted to comment, this is a valley-wide problem.
Yes.
I don't know if it's an education issue, an enforcement issue. I want to give a
quick little perspective from the other side of the river. I realize it's not our jurisdiction. The intersection at Bridge Street and Fifth Street, which you might call the Taco Bell or Walgreens intersection, is exceptionally dangerous. I have an employee who crosses there every day to go get lunch over there, and people are running red lights. They're running red lights. You have the green light to cross, and they're running red lights. People in the valley, people in Lewiston do not stop for pedestrians anywhere close to how it's done in Moscow, which I could get up to all the time, and they're very courteous to pedestrians up there. Just by way of noting, that intersection, one of the most dangerous ones in Clarkson, is where they're holding the big rally on Saturday. It's like, oh, really? You're picking that intersection to rally with protest signs. And about 3 years ago, the Asotin County Community Services, which is in the same building I'm in, like a $60,000 grant from the state of Washington to promote pedestrian safety, especially among the disabled, because that's who they serve. And there's signage, and they painted a mural on their building. I mean, it was flim flam money. They bought ads, they ran public service announcements, they did all kinds of things, and it didn't seem to help at all. I really don't know what we have to do to get drivers to slow down and be vehicle. It is an issue, and doubly so for people with disabilities trying to cross streets.
I think that could be part of the discussion there. I will tell you, just to add, if you're disabled and you're obviously disabled, the color of the light and the presence of an intersection are irrelevant. And
Eric, can you repeat the question so we can make sure we have it down exactly?
can you read it back to me?
What are the rights
Of
Yeah.
disabled pedestrians,
of pedestrians and disabled pedestrians versus the duties?
what are the duties of drivers?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think if legal gives us that, then we can actually get to the question of enforcement or education, or is enforcement as a tool for education.
I do think it's good to see clarity there.
Eric is correct. It is a big issue. It is going to become an even bigger issue as more people are walking and give up driving and traffic increases. And it should be on somebody's radar screen.
I certainly agree with that. If there are no other future agenda items, I'd like to move to commissioner comments. Why do you believe we've had several of them already?
I'm sorry I didn't bring posters. I completely forgot, but the U of I Extension Service down the street here is starting a series of summer workshops on the subject of aging and disabilities. And the first one, and they're gonna be Mondays and Tuesdays, 10:30 to noon at the Lewiston Community Center. So yes, a lot of old and disabled people trying to get into that building. They're doing it so then you can go straight from the workshop, which will be in the old senior lounge, to the lunch. Exactly. So the first one is, I believe, Wednesday, the right day, July or June. I have no calendar on this, June 30th. And then I'm the speaker, or excuse me, not Wednesday, Monday, and I'm the speaker on Tuesday, July 1st. Can't remember the topic of the very first one. I think it's preparing for caregiving or something, but I'm supposed to speak on the aging of the valley and the transitions that need to be put in place for an aging population.
When's that meeting?
Mine, July 1st. The first one is June 30th. And then there'll be later ones into July and August. The extension service is busy scheduling them with speakers.
What time?
10:30 to noon.
Would you send,
I will do that, as soon as I have a poster.
I will definitely make sure that I distribute that widely.
I have grandkids coming from DC for a month, so I doubt people.
That's okay. Just wanted to share that.
Appreciate it.
Any comments from staff liaison? We have a motion to adjourn.
I want to stick around.
I'll motion to adjourn or to finish this.
Yay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
And staff, I do greatly appreciate your work. I just do what I do.